because this thing is already being drained. All right, come on, YouTube, hurry up. There we go. All right, shalom. Shalom, everybody. I'm Brother Doug with Awakened by Yahuwah Assembly in Yahuwah Almighty, Yahushua Messiah. And I'm with, tonight, as always, my mom's right next to me, Sharon, Sister Sharon, right next to me here. We have Brother Dennis, Sister Shoshana, Sister Marissa, and we're going to be continuing the manuscript study we've done for the past couple months. I would say it's a good 2 months. We're going to be doing part 9 of this study. So just get to the document here. Everyone should be able to have, I think, a chance to read here because there's going to be a lot of cross references here. A lot. So, and I'm going to try to remember to always provide the Google Doc link so you guys can test these scriptures for yourselves. Oof, excuse me. So yeah, we did part 8 last time. Here we go, part 9. We are starting with Mom, since you already got your scriptures open, can you go to Psalms 59 verse 1 for me? And just read it from your version there. Read it, the stupid kickstand would stop moving. There you go. There we go. So my mom will be reading from her NIV she has out, which is most of the time uses a Masoretic reading, especially from Psalms. So we'll see how different it is.
Okay. Deliver me from my enemies. O Yahuwah, protect me from those who rise up against me.
What's the actual intro, though?
The intro was to the tune of Do Not Destroy of David. It's a type of a like an anthem word. When Saul had sent men to watch David's house in order to kill him.
Okay, let me go to mine here. 542 in this one. Okay. So we're going to see how there's a little difference here in the wording of the intro. You're going to see here. Those that have a Catholic Bible handy will see that it's similar to the Septuagint in this intro here. So let me see here. Psalms 49. Verse 1. So it says, 59, my bad. 59. Regarding completion, do not destroy, pertaining to Daud. For a steel inscription when Shaul sent and watched his house to put him to death. So basically, most versions of the LXX will say unto the end or for completion, do not destroy. So where my mom's, I think, said what to the choir or
she said to the tune of
an instrument.
Right, do not destroy.
Yeah, so rather than it saying completion or the end, it's talking about it's more, the Masoretic is more of like a choir type of thing, like where it's all about ordering the instruments and stuff like that. Let's see, Psalm 60 verse 1 has the same thing here. It says, LXX and Vulgate have for the end and to the end for those who will be changed. Now, the reason this one's important is because I believe this is a psalm that was written for the resurrection. So meaning that it's talking about when we would be changed, aka what Paul talks about. And it's very possible Paul was quoting from this chapter from Psalms in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, I believe it is, and 1 Corinthians 15. So it says here, let me just see here. Why that one? Huh. Yeah. So regarding completion for those that shall yet be changed, for a steel inscription pertaining to Daoud for teaching, when he set on fire Mesopotamia of Syria, and Syria Suba and Joab returned and struck the ravine of Salt 12,000. So Mesopotamia of Syria is basically that whole region. Mesopotamia would be like Babylon, Shinar, all those empires that Nimrod had in Genesis 10 is the region of Mesopotamia. So it's very ironic, Daoud in this particular psalm, it was written for when he went to Mesopotamia and set it on fire. Possibly could be foreshadowing when Yahuwah, judges Babylon in Revelations 18. But it's very possible. Now, yours says what? It probably
there's a whole paragraph. It says when he fought Aram Naharaim and Aram Sobah, and when Joab returned and struck down 12,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt.
So there's no mention about the resurrection, right?
No.
Yeah. Interesting. It's very interesting since these Masoretes would have not have denied the resurrection. It's very strange. Because the Pharisees are the only ones that I'm aware of. Not the Pharisees, the Sadducees would be the only ones I am aware of as a group among that time that would have denied the resurrection when Messiah was on earth, when Yahushua was on earth. All right, so the next one we got is Psalm 61, verse 1 again, for the end, unto the end, for those who will be changed. So it's talking about the resurrection. So you have another one mentioning resurrection. 62, verse 1, same thing, mentioning those who will be changed. So it's very weird why the Masoretic is specifically taking that phrase out. Why is that such a big deal? And then you have Psalm 64, verse 1, for the end, and to the end for those who will be changed. And every single one of these, if you have a Catholic Bible, will say this, because the Latin Vulgate uses the LXX for the Book of Psalms. So if you have a Catholic Bible, I would suggest any of our listeners, listeners, if you have a Catholic Bible to pair with whatever, evangelical type of Bible you have, I would do that right now, because you're going to see how even the Catholic Bibles agree with the Septuagint. So in certain areas. So now we're jumping to Exodus here. Exodus 25:4. The word you're going to be looking for is spun, which has been taken out. I'm talking about the linen, what they had to make for the tabernacle. Type of linen they had to, the red thread, the red colored thread. Okay, let's see here. Let's get a new reader here. Brother Dennis, I think you should be unmuted because I didn't mute you. Would you like to read Exodus 25, verse 4 for us?
Well, I was muted.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that happened. Weird.
25 verse 4.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, let's see. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, and Ipher, and Hanok, and Abida, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah.
Are you sure you're at Exodus 25, verse 4?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No. It's kind of dark in here. I had to turn the light on.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad, bro. Here.
Yeah. Let's
See here. All right.
That was what, Exodus again, 24? 20,
No, 25. Chapter 25, verse 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
And blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine linen and goat's hair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, Brother Dennis's version here that he's reading from, which I'm pretty sure it's the ISR here, right? So, the scriptures version, they are using the Masoretic, obviously, and spun is not in the verse. Now, if you go to the Septuagint, it will say the same thing, except it will have the word spun at the end. It will say blue and purple and double scarlet and fine spun linen and goat's hair. Now, as well, if you go to a Catholic Bible here, let's go to this Catholic Bible, by the way, guys, if you're interested, I'll leave a link. It's a free public domain version. It's called the Catholic Public Domain Version 2009. Anyone that's interested. So, but as you can see here, the Vulgate has the same thing. Oh, actually, hold on a second. Maybe they don't have the word spun there. I could have swore they had it. Okay, never mind. Never mind there. But I might have to fix that then. If they don't have that there. Okay. Let me see here. Let me see. Before we go through these next bullet points here, I want to make sure that these other ones are correct. These other bullet points are correct. So just bear with me, guys. I'm going to go real quick through it.
Doug, I got that article that you sent about how the times were changed, the numbers and stuff. That was what we talked about before, and that was quite interesting.
Yeah, how the Masoretic moved. They changed the genealogies so that Shem could become Melchizedek. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's one of the reasons, viewers and listeners, I'm pretty sure you know of our opinion already of the book of Jasher, but one of the reasons I don't promote Jasher as scripture is that reason. Is they call Shem Melchizedek in the book of Jasher. So it proves who's actually writing that book is anti-Yahusha rabbis. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I don't promote Jasher or Jubilees or any type of books like that hold to like Mishnah material. But let me see here. So I guess I was wrong about these instances here because I was under the assumption that they did have the word spun there, but I guess not. All right, never mind. Let me fast forward. Then I'll just get rid of these Exodus references because all of these are going to be wrong then. We'll fast forward to 1 Samuel here, guys. I apologize. We might as well do part 10 then because there's not going to be much of a part 9. So, yeah, let me just fix this document real quick, guys. I apologize. That's my fault. It's my bad. All right. But you're going to see a difference once we get to the 1 Samuel verse, I know for a fact. So, just a little history lesson for those that don't know much about the Vulgate. Jerome, who was a quote unquote Catholic church father, he was commissioned by Pope Damascus in around, I think it was 383 AD, meaning like 4th century AD, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's still, if you compare it to when the Masoretic text was written, that's still what, 700 years? 700 years before the Masoretic text. So around that time, Pope Damascus asked this guy, Jerome, some people call him Saint Jerome, to write the scriptures or translate it into Latin for the first time. So that's what happened. Before then, they did not have the scriptures in Latin. They didn't. They had Greek. They had earlier Greek New Testaments, and they had Hebrew and Greek Old Testaments. You know, it would be their whatever Hebrew copies they would have had in the 3rd, 4th century would have obviously been not originals, obviously. So, all right, there we go. So that's just a little history lesson there. So basically what happened was in 383 AD, Jerome was told, okay, I want you to translate the scriptures into Latin. So what happens is they take the most honored Tanakh of their day, which is the LXX. Historically speaking, if we're going to be honest here, that's all they really had. They had later Hebrew copies in his day that dated to his time period or 100 AD, but the Septuagint was still the standard. 200-300 years after Messiah ascended, people were still using the Septuagint as their go-to Tanakh. And so Jerome started doing his work with the Septuagint. He translated into Latin. So there are certain books, you'll notice it if you have a Catholic Bible, that are solely Septuagint based, which the book of Psalms is pretty much like majorly a Septuagint based version of Psalms. It's based on the Greek text of Psalms rather than Hebrew. Supposedly Job is as well, which is very good. It's actually a positive thing. If you have a Catholic Bible, you'll have a very accurate version of the book of Job for the most part, and stuff like that. So anyway, that's a short little history on that. But the Latin Vulgate still to this day, that is the Catholic Church's manuscript they use for Catholic Bibles. Supposedly what happened by the end of it, when he got to the Torah, Jerome started feeling that the Septuagint wasn't satisfactory, so he went to a Hebrew text of his day. Where the story gets misconstrued, especially with pro-Masoretic people, they try to tell you that the Vulgate, Jerome used the Masoretic. It's impossible for him to have used the Masoretic. The Masoretic didn't exist for another 650 to 700 years. So what he used was a much earlier Hebrew text. And if you go into the Messianic, the Messianic prophecies, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like if you go to let's see what types of verses I can think of here. If you go to Genesis 49:10, literally it's word for word the same with the Septuagint practically. You go to Jeremiah 11:18, almost word for word. So obviously they're using a much earlier Hebrew text than the Masoretic text, because the Masoretic text changed those verses. So anyway, just wanted to give a little history lesson there, since this is going to be a much shorter of a part 9 than I thought it was going to be. So let's see, 1 Samuel 6:19. Let's go there. Mom, how about you read it from your version there?
Sure.
1 Samuel.
Okay.
1 Samuel 6:19.
Okay. But Yahuwah struck down some of the men of Beth Shemesh, putting 70 of them to death, because they had looked into the ark of Yahuwah, The people mourned because of the heavy blow that Yahuwah had dealt them.
So yours says 70, right?
Yeah.
So if you now you're sure it doesn't say
70.
thousand?
Wait a minute, there's a footnote. Uh
So just 70, right?
it says the Septuagint says
50,000.
50,000 and 70. Yeah. That's their footnote.
And so does the Vulgate. So again, the Catholic Bible agrees with the Septuagint here. Right here, it's 1 Samuel 6:19. Catholic public domain version reads as follows: and he struck some of the people, 70 men and 50,000 of the common people. So again, the Masoretic leaves that part out. That statement, 50,000, completely left out. So again, this shows that whatever Hebrew Jerome had was not the Masoretic text. It was much earlier. So anyway, so just wanted to show that. Now we're going to be starting part 10 since I had to get rid of a lot of part 9 there. It was a lot shorter than I expected. Now we're at part 10 of this series here. So 1 Samuel 2, verse 2. Let's see here. We had you, Mom, you read, Dennis read. Let's see here if we can get one more reader here. Let's see, Sister Shoshana, would you like to read 1 Samuel 2, verse 2?
I think I'm too sick to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I totally forgot. That's on me. I totally forgot. That was my bad. Sister Marissa, would you like to read 1 Samuel 2, verse 2?
I can do it if you want me to.
Oh, you know what? If you can do it, because I'm just in the house. I just got home and I'm just running around. I won't be able to read.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Yeah, sure, Brother Dennis. Go ahead.
All right. There is no one set apart like Yahuwah, for there is no one besides you, and there is no rock like your Elohim.
Trying to see, Mom, what is different here. So nothing is set apart as Yahuwah is set apart. There's no besides you. Strong. Strong. I think. Does yours version say righteous?
No, it says, holy, set apart.
What about the second part of the verse? As our Elohim. What does it use?
There is no rock like our, Elohim.
So it just says there's no rock like our Elohim.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Because the Septuagint says there's none as set apart as Yahuwah, and there's none righteous as our Elohim. There is none set apart besides you. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure this one refers to the Masoretic.
Yeah, because this is weird. It's like, why would you take that out?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense why they would change those things.
Because that gives it a whole different meaning now. I'm trying to see here. Oh, by the way, I can't really show you guys the second witness to that verse because I don't have the Dead Sea Scrolls, but the Dead Sea Scrolls claims that 1 Samuel 2, verse 2, that the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint have the word truly. Does your version have truly?
Mine says that the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint and Syriac say your, Y-O-U-R.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so the Dead Sea Scrolls is even agreeing with the Septuagint there. Let's see here. 1 Samuel 2, verse 10, LXX and Vulgate have Yahuwah is set apart, so that seems to be missing from the Masoretic there in verse 10. The adversaries of Yahuwah will dread him, and over them he will thunder in the heavens. Yahuwah will rightly rule the parts of the earth, and he will give dominion to his king. And he will lift up the horn of his Messiah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his anointed is what he says.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I'm wondering if I'm getting these references incorrect. I'm wondering if, let's see here. Huh, that's weird. Because if it's just weird. I'm wondering if the verse numbering is just off. Huh. Very strange. All right, verse 16 here. Take which your soul desires, LXX, and Dead Sea Scrolls read. Take which your soul desires in 1 Samuel 2:16. Okay. The one, so let's see here. And if the man that sacrifice says, first let that fat be burned, as it is fitting, and take for yourself all the things which your soul desires, then he would say, no, for you shall give it to me now, and if not, I will take it by force. So the context here, it's talking about Eli's sons were not allowing the fat to burn on the altar, which Yahuwah commanded, the fat is mine, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the context would be taking what your soul desires means once that fat is burned off, you can take of the meat you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's saying there. But you have to let the fat be burned. You have to cut the fat off and burn the fat before you're having your share of the offering.
What do you think the fat symbolizes to?
The fat could be sin. It could be the fat that the fat is being burned. It could be, that it's purged in the fire. Fat could be a lot of things. It could be leaven. It could be a lot of things spiritually.
Interesting.
Fat also in a physical way is like the tastiest part of the meat. So it's like, also, you're giving Yahuwah your best.
That's right.
It goes back to Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
Cain just wanted to give whatever he wanted from his vegetable garden. And I still believe that if you look at the context of that story, he was supposed to take the first of his brother's flock and pay whatever he could pay for it, is what he was supposed to do. Like basically, supply and demand, give the first of his crops to his brother for a sheep of his flock, and give it as like a firstborn, the law of firstborn and all that. It was supposed to be a first of your flock. And because he gave something that really wasn't prescribed and really was just doing it in his own way, Yahuwah's like, if you did well, wouldn't you, would your face be fallen if you did what I told you to do? Type of thing, 1 Samuel 2:17. Dead Sea Scrolls and LXX. So again, the Dead Sea Scrolls agreeing with the Septuagint here. 1 Samuel 2:17. And he said, what was the word that was spoken to you? I pray you hide it not from me. May Eluah do these things to you, and more also, if you hide from me anything of all the words that were spoken to you in your ears. Okay, whoops. Wrong chapter. My bad. It's actually supposed to be 2:17. Whoops. Okay. So the sin of the young men was very great before Yahuwah, for they set at naught the offering of Yahuwah. So for they, it seems like, was not in the Masoretic. So what does it say in yours?
Yeah, mine has a footnote that says instead of they, for men were treating Yahuwah's offering with contempt.
Very generic, very generic. So you have it just saying men in general rather than they, the priests. That's screwed up. So it takes away the context. Verse 20 in the same chapter here, we have Heli Baruch Elkanah and his wife saying, Yahuwah repeat to you this woman in return for the loan which you have sent to Yahuwah, and the man returned to his place. So verse 20 says that the Dead Sea Scrolls in the LXX have gift and gift made to Yahuwah. So, I'm wondering if I'm getting these verses messed up because I don't see that. Or let's see, because the word gift is not. I wonder if that's supposed to be 2 Samuel. Let me see here. I'm just going to check something real quick, guys. I apologize here. Oh, what the heck is going on here? I don't know. Some of these references, guys, I got from the New Hard English Bible footnotes. So I don't know if their verse numberings are off a little bit. Because the word gift is not there. It just says, strange. Okay, let me move on here. 1 Samuel 2:21. And Yahuwah visited Hannah, and she bore yet 3 sons and 2 daughters, and the child Samuel grew before Yahuwah. So, what's interesting is that the LXX and the Dead Sea Scrolls in this verse, they don't have the word conceived. So it's possible the word conceived could have been added in there. Because the Masoretic says she conceived and bare 3 sons. So it's very possible the Septuagint felt they didn't need to add in their conceived. Because if you're bearing sons, you don't need to, if the reader's already been told that this woman was pregnant in prior verses and chapters, then you really don't need to elaborate and say she conceived. She conceived if she's bearing sons. So it's sometimes you'll see that with the Masoretic. They add in details that are not necessary. They add in words that are not really necessary. So the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint agree in chapter 2, verse 21. It just says she bore sons instead of conceived and bore. Okay. 1 Samuel 2:22, verse 22 here. Dead Sea Scrolls and LXX lacks all. No. Lacks and how that meeting. So the word all is not there in the LXX or the Septuagint. And how that meeting. So let me see here. Okay, so the LXX version would just say, and Heli was very old, and he heard what his sons did to the children of Yasharal. And the Masoretic would have, and heard all that his sons did to all Yasharal, and how they laid with the woman that assembled at the door. So the Masoretic, adds an extra detail, how they laid with the women that assembled at the door, which is very weird. I don't know why that would be pertinent to the story, but they felt the need to add a extra sin there that they did, which kind of really is not pertaining to the story. It's not really pertinent. It's about how they were messing up as priests. It's not, it's kind of like you're adding a midrashic detail that doesn't need to be in the story. You see what I'm saying? It's like that doesn't need to be there. They're talking about the priesthood, how they're sitting in the priesthood, not about who they're fornicating with. So it completely just throws in an added detail, and then it gets you thinking elsewhere, rather than the whole thread of the story is about how they're screwing up with the offerings and everything. So it's very possible they could have added that little detail in there for whatever reason. But it's not in the Septuagint or in the Dead Sea Scrolls version. So anyway, verse 23, okay. LXX and Dead Sea Scrolls, from the mouth of the people to Yahuwah. So we have a difference in wording here. And he said to them, why do you do according to all this thing which I hear from the mouth of all the people of Yahuwah? So from the mouth of the people seems to be missing in the Masoretic, is what I'm assuming here. Yeah. From the mouth of the people, and Yahuwah is not in the verse either. This is how the Masoretic reads. And he said unto them, why do you do such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all the people. So there's no mention of Yahuwah at all. 1 Samuel 2:25. Masoretic lacks gravely, the word gravely. So the Septuagint would read as follows. It would read, if a man should all sin against another, then shall they pray for him to Yahuwah. But if a man sin against Yahuwah, who shall entreat for him? But they hearken not to the voice of their father, because Yahuwah would by all means destroy them. See, this is again, I'm wondering where some of these footnotes, I think the NHEB screwed up on the cross references. Yeah, unless I got the chapters messed up, I'm not seeing where they're getting that. Yeah, I think I definitely messed up. My bad, guys. I apologize for that. The last one we have here is Psalm 67. Verse 1. This is an interesting difference here, and it's very subtle. It says here in the LXX intro, for the end, a psalm of Daoud among the hymns, or among the psalms. Now, the Masoretic leaves out David. It just says a psalm.
Yeah.
So it doesn't tell you whose psalm it is. It doesn't tell.
No.
It just says a psalm among the psalms. So it leaves out David's name there for whatever reason. The Vulgate also has David's name there, if I'm not mistaken. So this is how the Vulgate reads, and to the end, with hymns, a canticle psalm of David. So again, the Vulgate and the Septuagint have David in that intro. So I apologize again, guys, about the little mess up on the doc here. I don't know. I think next time I'm just not going to use the New Heart English Bible for their footnotes, because they kind of caused me to screw up in this study. So I'll just remember that for next time. Yahuwah willing, though, this was still edifying for you guys out there, and it still kind of showed you guys why a lot of us are so pro Septuagint in this group. There's multiple witnesses, like you saw tonight in just a short study that you have. The Dead Sea Scrolls are an added witness to the Septuagint's accuracy. The Vulgate as well. So you have a lot of these prior manuscripts that predate the Masoretic that agree with the Septuagint. So again, that should make you wonder, why is that the case? Why are the oldest manuscripts of the Tanakh agreeing with the Septuagint over supposedly, what people want to claim is the standard bearer in Bibles because everyone wants to claim, well, we trust the Masoretic because it's Hebrew and because the scriptures were originally written in Hebrew. Well, the problem is though, if the manuscript you're using is contradicting like every other ancient manuscript in tons of these verses, then you have an issue. Because then that means, regardless of the language that the Masoretic is written in, it has theological errors. Really doesn't matter what language it is if there's errors like that. So, and a lot of Hebrew supremacy people will say, "Oh, well, we trust it because it's Hebrew." Well, if if that's your only reason, that's really dumb, because every version of the New Testament you have today is written in Greek. Every New Testament, every single one. I mean, there's a few Aramaics, but some of these people out there will trust Hebrew over Aramaic too, just because it's Hebrew. So it's like Yahuwah didn't use one language. When the Tower of Babel happened, there were 70 different languages, guys. That means the Hebrew language is not the only authentic language of the Father. Okay? So, again, like, we got to unlearn this whole Hebrew supremacy nonsense. This whole Hebrew, because it's Hebrew, it's better. That's completely retarded, in my opinion. Completely stupid to believe that. There's tons of literature out there that are written in even the Paleo Hebrew that I would not consider scripture. You got New Agey ancient astronaut books that are written in the Phoenician. The Phoenician is a modern version of the Paleo Hebrew. You can look it up for yourselves. Phoenician or Phoenician language is very similar to the Paleo, and a lot of these New Agey, weird, heretical books are written in that language, like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and all that, which we know to be heresy. Is written in that language. So a language does not make something heavenly, or I don't even like using the word divine, but divine, if you want to use that word. It doesn't make it authentic because of the language. Language does not authenticate something. What authenticates something is the content, not the language. What's in it is what makes it authentic. So hopefully, if you guys didn't get anything else tonight out of that, hopefully this last message, you got something out of that. So anyway, end of rant. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Have a great rest of Yahuwah and Yahusha Shabbat. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back, Yahuwah willing, tomorrow for our Sabbath